You come home and the house is quiet. Nobody greets you at the door. Nobody asks how your day was. The silence is just there, waiting for you the way silence always is. But then you hear it, the soft padding of paws on hardwood. And before you've even set your bag down, they're already there, looking at you, not asking anything from you, not needing you to explain yourself. Just there. And something in your chest loosens. What if that moment, that specific, ordinary, unremarkable moment, is actually one of the most psychologically significant things that happens to you all day? What if the way your dog looks at you is doing something to your nervous system that most human interactions never quite manage to do? And what if the reason you call them your soulmate isn't dramatic at all, but is actually one of the most honest things you've ever said? Let's talk about what most people get wrong first. Most people hear, "My dog is my soulmate," and they smile maybe a little awkwardly. They think it's sweet, harmless, slightly over the top. They file it away in the same mental drawer as people who throw birthday parties for their pets or carry photos of them in their wallet. They think this is about love for an animal, but it's not. It's about what your brain has learned to recognize as safe. And that's an entirely different conversation. You are not unusual for feeling this way. You are not too attached. You are not avoiding something. Your brain is not broken or confused or compensating for something it's missing. Your brain is doing exactly what brains are wired to do, finding and anchoring to sources of safety, comfort, and consistent emotional connection. And somewhere along the way, your dog became one of the most reliable of those sources. That's not a personality quirk. That's neuroscience. Here's where it starts. When you look at your dog, really look at them, make eye contact, let yourself feel that warmth. Your brain releases oxytocin, the same neurochemical that floods a parent's brain when they hold their newborn. The same hormone that fires when two people who deeply trust each other share a moment of genuine connection. Your brain is not making a distinction between species. It doesn't care that your dog has 4 legs and can't talk. It registers the experience of being looked at with complete, unconditional presence, and it responds the same way it responds to the deepest human bonds in your life. This is not metaphor. This is not sentimentality. This is your nervous system doing its job and doing it well. Psychologists who study attachment, the theory that describes how humans form bonds and what happens when those bonds feel safe or unsafe, have found something fascinating about people and their dogs. The bond that forms between a human and their dog follows the same emotional patterns as the bond between a child and a caregiver. Proximity seeking, distress when separated, a return to calm when reunited. Your dog is not just your pet. To your nervous system, your dog is an attachment figure. And that changes everything about how you understand what you feel. Think about the last time you were genuinely, deeply understood by another person. Not just heard understood, where you didn't have to edit yourself or soften your words or explain your context, where you didn't feel even slightly judged for what you were feeling. For some people, that happens easily. For many, it's rare. But your dog gives you that every single day. Not because they understand your words or your logic or the complicated history behind why you're feeling what you're feeling, but because they respond to something more fundamental than all of that. They respond to your energy, your tone, your body, the shape of your sadness. Even when you're pretending you're fine, there's a reason you can walk into a room, say nothing, sit on the floor, and your dog will come and press themselves against you. They didn't read your face carefully. They didn't analyze your posture. They felt the shift in the room and they moved toward you. Human relationships ask you to articulate your inner world before they can meet you there. Your dog meets you before you've even figured out what you're feeling. That kind of attunement being met before you've put words to it is one of the rarest and most regulating experiences a nervous system can have. And here's the part nobody tells you. The people who find the deepest solace in their dogs are often not people who have failed to connect with humans. They're often people who have learned, across years of experience, exactly how demanding and conditional human connection can feel. People who have been asked to perform wellness, manage other people's discomfort, shrink their emotions to make them more palatable. With their dog, they get to stop performing. That isn't avoidance, that's relief. There's a layer to this that runs even deeper, and it has to do with something your brain is doing quietly in the background every single day. Your nervous system is constantly running a threat assessment. It's scanning the environment, the people around you, the energy in the room, asking a question it never puts into words. Is this safe? Is this safe? Is this safe? With most people, that question gets a complicated answer. Safe, but with conditions. Safe until they're in a bad mood. Safe, but only if you show up a certain way. Your dog answers that question the same way every single time. Safe? Not safe if you remembered to feed them on time. Not safe if you've been too busy lately. Not safe if you're going through something that makes you hard to be around. Just safe. Your brain builds predictability around this. It learns that when your dog is there, the threat assessment can quiet down. The vigilance can soften. The part of your brain that spends most of its energy managing unpredictability in relationships, at work, in the world gets to rest. And your brain, like all brains, begins to anchor to things that let it rest. Your dog becomes something like a home your nervous system can return to, not a metaphor, a real physiological resting point. Now think about how this changes across your life. When you were younger, you might have loved your dog with a simpler, louder love. The joy of play, the fun of having them around, the easy comfort of a warm presence. But as you've gotten older, as life has layered on more complexity, more disappointment, more of the quiet exhaustion that comes from navigating a world that asks a lot of you, the way you experience that bond deepens. The same dog, the same relationship, but your nervous system brings more to it now. More need, more gratitude, more of an understanding of what it means to be met without condition. A lot of people notice this shift and feel slightly embarrassed by it. They wonder if they've become too dependent, if it means something is wrong. But what it actually means is that your capacity to recognize safety has grown more sophisticated. You've lived long enough to understand how rare it is. You're not more attached to your dog than you used to be. You're wiser about what the attachment is giving you. Your dog is also doing something else for you, something that gets almost no attention. They organize your day, morning walks, feeding times, the ritual of the leash, the routine of someone waiting for you. Your brain builds a scaffolding of predictability around all of it, and that scaffolding holds something important, a sense of structure in time. When life feels uncertain, when your inner world is chaotic or unclear, the rhythm of caring for your dog creates a pulse. Something external, reliable, and recurring that your brain can use as an anchor. This is not a small thing. Psychologists who work with grief, anxiety, and trauma will tell you that one of the first things that deteriorates is the sense of structure in daily life. The capacity to move through time with any sense of continuity. Routine becomes lifeline. Your dog provides that lifeline not because they understand what you're going through, but because they need you on the same schedule regardless. They bring you back into time, back into the day. That is a kind of love too. And then there's this. Your dog doesn't know what a soulmate is. They don't have a concept for it. They haven't watched the movies or read the stories or grown up with the cultural idea that somewhere out there is a being perfectly suited to your particular soul. They just treat you like one every single day. They orient toward you. They track you through the house. They choose you quietly and completely in every small moment of every ordinary day, without philosophy, without meaning to make a statement, without needing anything back from you except your presence. And your brain, which has spent years learning who is safe, who stays, who shows up, who leaves, registers this deeply, permanently. This is why the loss of a dog feels so particular, so disorienting, so much larger than the people around you might expect. Because you haven't just lost a pet, you've lost an attachment figure, a nervous system regulator, a daily ritual, a source of oxytocin, a being who knew how to meet you before you'd figured out what you were carrying. The grief is not disproportionate. It is perfectly proportionate to what the relationship actually was. So if you've ever called your dog your soulmate and then immediately softened it, qualified it, made it smaller so it wouldn't sound like too much, you don't have to do that. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to make it more reasonable or more acceptable or more proportionate to what other people think a dog should mean to a person. What you have with your dog is real. It is psychologically real, neurologically real, emotionally real. It is a bond built in the oldest parts of your brain, the parts that have always known that to be safe is not a small thing, and that the beings who make you feel safe deserve to be held close. Your dog is not just your pet. They are the place where your nervous system finally exhales. And there is nothing in the world wrong with needing that.